Okay. Hello, today I'm absolutely thrilled to have Nadia on with us. Nadia is Head of Meetings and Special Events at Perth's Optus Stadium. Nadia has never been one to let geographical boundaries stop her career progression or personal growth. She's lived in Sydney, Melbourne, London, Paris, and now Perth, and has facilitated all manner of events across Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, and Southeast Asia. Australian-born and educated, her love for the customer experience, business development, venues and events is the result of many years of five-star hospitality management and a well-rounded tertiary education. Nadia pushes the boundaries and is unapologetic about slaying a few dragons in order for people to believe in the magic of events. That's fantastic. Welcome, Nadia.
Hi, Louise. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Look, part of my business journey is meeting amazing women and men, but particularly interested in women because my shoe brand is around women. And I've just met so many lovely women, but I've also met women that have really inspired me in my business journey. And you are one of those. You're one of the more recent ones I've met. We've met at a couple of events in the last couple of years. And you trialled my Louise M shoe brand at Optus Stadium for me, which was just absolutely lovely of you, and really appreciate that. So thank you for inspiring and supporting the Louise M brand along the way.
Oh, it's the least I can do.
With this empowerment series, I'm really intrigued to know where we find that sense of feeling confident and empowered and to go on and succeed in business and life. And we often talk about the business journey, but I want to take you back to your childhood and see if there was any influences in your childhood that helped you gain this confidence and sense of empowerment as an adult. But first of all, Nadia, what's your definition of empowerment? Because it's different, a little different for everyone.
I think for me, it's about self-belief and having the courage to be able to either stand up for yourself or put yourself in a position that might be challenging or unknown to you, but knowing that you have everything within yourself to be able to come through on the other side successfully.
So that sounds like you believe that you have everything in yourself to achieve.
Absolutely.
So do you think that presents physically or emotionally, or do you think they come together? Like if you're feeling confident, you actually stand tall, or how does it present for you?
I'd say both. It's definitely a combination of the two. I mean, there's lots of studies that have been done about power poses, people standing there and, legs akimbo and just, looking up and a certain tilt of the chin. And if you don't, you see it's body language studies as well. If somebody's sitting like this, they don't exude any form of confidence. So the recipients of the conversation with that person might not even understand that this person does have the self-confidence or the charge to be able to do well. So it's the way it manifests is definitely both physically and internally, because if you don't believe that you are going to be able to do something, no one's going to physically see it on you either.
And believe
it comes down to, I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, actually, when one is single, and I remember doing this a lot when I was younger. You'd go out and you'd be like, right, it's Thursday night or Friday night. I am so it's time for me to get a man, and I'm on the hunt, and people can feel that energy coming from you, and it would scare the crap out of most men, and they'd generally run away from you. Whereas it's when you are cool, calm and collected, and you're like, I don't care if a guy is interested, that's his prerogative, and then I will make the decision if I'm interested in him. That's when they come at you like, bees to honey or what have you. They're like, oh, she's so confident that I want to be part of that, and she's not even asking for any sort of engagement. She's just got that je ne sais quoi, I suppose. So I think it's a combination of how you're presenting yourself mentally, internally, and then that carries through into your physicality.
I love that. Tips for single women too in the empowerment journey. So I love that because I haven't had that before. So that's really great. So let's, yeah, I want to know where it all started for you. You know, did it start in your childhood or have you had to develop that in your adulthood? So as a child, you know, did you have siblings? Where were you in the line? And yeah, did your parents, you know, give you confidence and, you know, Nadia, you can do anything and you believed it? Or, you know, or did you have someone in your life that really you thought, wow, if they can do it, I can do it? As a child, we're still in childhood now.
Probably there's a few elements that I can draw on there. My dad was a pioneer in his industry. He was a pioneer in medicine, and he always used to tell stories of the fact that he wouldn't have gotten as far as he did in his career had he not broken rules. And he, you know, pushed the boundaries. He got fired from places, but he is now known in the medical industry for being one of the people at the absolute forefront of where it is today. And so having that type of, he was almost like a little devil on my shoulder, being like, you can do it even if they say that you can't do it. In fact, I encourage you to not do it the way they want you to do it. Otherwise, there's not going to be any progress. And you know, they do say the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So my dad was always of the mind that, you know, just because it's done a certain way doesn't mean that that's the way it should always be done. And you see that these days with all the, you know, the tech startups and, you know, the Elon Musks of this world, they're doing things because they're breaking the boundaries, and that's helping to propel, you know, society forward. And then I suppose on the other side, I have an older sister, and she to this day is still very much a mentor and an inspiration to me. But I wouldn't say necessarily she made me or influenced how I am, and certainly how I have been since moving to Perth or around the world. But I was actually bullied really badly in school. So I used to get beaten up by some of the girls at my school from when I was about 6 or 7 years old. And I was very little and I was very polite because my mum, being English, had brought us up to be good girls. And yeah, I got the absolute shit kicked out of me, to be honest with you. And quite regularly, and always from females. So I found girls very intimidating growing up. And then I moved to a all-girls senior high school and stopped being physically bullied, but then got to learn all about the intellectual and the emotional bullying that girls can do. And from that, it was, I think back on school, and it mortifies me. You know, I know a lot of people say it's the best days of your life, but for me it was awful. And whilst I got a delightful education and you know, have come out of it on top, really, in the grand scheme of things, I didn't like it because I wasn't treated well, and I was taken advantage of in so many different ways for being petite or having a focus on the arts and languages versus being a sporty person. And so as a result of that, when I finished school, I hung back a year and didn't go straight to university. And I wanted to not be in university with all my peers, because I said to myself, and I was 17 at the time, I'm going to do something else. And I did a hotel management diploma. But I'm going to do something else and start fresh, because this is the first day of the rest of my life. I'm not going to let those people define me. I'm not going to let those people influence me and how I am going into my tertiary studies. And then had a wonderful time learning the hospitality side of the business, which is what really solidified my love and has got me on the career path that I'm now on. But when I went to university, then a year later in Sydney, I was myself. I was the person that you now see before you. I was confident because I was like, do you know what? I am a great person. I am definitely someone that people should know if they're interested in knowing me. And kind of screw them if people aren't going to take notice of that, and I don't have to succumb to bullies anymore. And the friends that I've made in even my first week of uni are still really, really good friends of mine, and they know me as this confident, outgoing, extroverted person. But that's something that I had to almost reinvent to be able to go down the path that I knew I wanted to go down, because I didn't want the bullies to win. And I think I've now, if it's a win or lose situation, I'd say I'm in a winning position, and my career is exactly where I have pushed it to be, because I have empowered myself to take the bull by the horns and not listen to people who want to stand in my way, or not bow down to people who are physically or emotionally trying to, overwhelm me. So yeah, I'd say being bullied is I wouldn't say a blessing in disguise, but it certainly shaped me to be the way that I am now.
Firstly, sorry that you even had to deal with that in primary school. But you have come out of it. And even that though, Nadia, you had a choice. You could actually crumble and fade away to society and hide. And yet you've come out this, strong woman. You chose to be that. So yeah, was it your dad's kind of rule, speak in the background perhaps, that helped you through that? And
I'd certainly, he was an influence for sure.
Your sister.
Yeah, she was a nice sort of moral compass as well, because she saw what I was going through. Excuse me. And her school experience was so opposite to mine. But it also comes down to, that belief and self-confidence. And I think I was incredibly shy and physically intimidated by other people. And then it just got to the point over my, in my 20s, where I was like, do you know what? Everyone's got their own issues. I can now reflect on all the people that were bullies to me in school and go, geez, those people had some messed up things going on in their lives that they then had to manifest physically to make other people feel like crap. And if I had to choose between being a bully and a bullied person and do it all again, I'd still go through and be a bullied person, because I think I've come out of it with some resilience, a significant amount of resilience and confidence. And I just imagine that those people, they're the ones that peak in school and don't know how to verbalize or understand their emotions or their triggers, and they're probably not in a good place now.
They're probably exactly the same, but in their workplace.
Yeah.
In a slightly different way, perhaps. And yeah, as you say, they must have had other things going on in their life, but your life was lovely. And why would they want to destroy your life? Because their life isn't. I just don't understand it. Yeah, but good on you. I just love that. And you do come across that way, that you are, confident in yourself and who you are. And, you have so many influences, in our lives, that it's kind of hard to find yourself sometimes, because you're trying to please everybody. But it's incredible, inspiring that you have actually found who you are and you're sticking to that. And as an adult, I mean, you have found that and through your hospitality, but, do you listen to any podcasts? Do you have, your favourite, Wayne Dyers and Joe Dispenzas and Amy Cuddy, Power Pose? Do you have that, or has it been networking? Has it been someone that's mentored you through the hospitality area, or have you done it all on your own?
I think generally I've probably done it all on my own, because I taught myself to be quite self-reliant, and I originally I've only recently started talking about the fact that I was bullied through school, probably in the last 4 years. I previously didn't want to talk to anyone or admit it to anybody, because I had trained myself to not show any weakness, because that's what the bullies will prey upon, is any form of weakness. So I didn't want people to think that I was weak. So therefore, I didn't want to talk about that I'd been through those experiences. But I think the older I get, the more senior I get in work as well, the more you realize that you need to, the way you can engage and empathize with people, and the way people can also engage with you, is through showing those types of vulnerabilities and allowing people to know that you're not just, a hard shell, and that there's much more within. And by recognizing that people have gone through certain emotional or physical traumas in their lives is actually not making them a bad person. It's making them a more well-rounded or a complete person in many ways. So I have a huge amount of responsibility with having 9 women of varying ages reporting into me here at the stadium. And if I was just a tough nut, I wouldn't have the level of engagement that I have with the team. I wouldn't have probably progressed as far in the Perth network as I have, and I wouldn't be getting up to be a speaker at an International Women's Day, because people don't know that there's more to what meets the eye.
Well, I was going to ask you how you're empowering others, and I think you just said it, a team of 9 women, and it's all about being relatable, isn't it? And you're still so-called boss, although I know you're very much, you leave it up to them to, they know what they need to achieve, and you're there if they need them. I love that leadership style. But it's being able to relate to people and have empathy but still have strength. And any other way that say you're having a down day. Do you ever have a down day?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So how do you go about picking yourself up those days? Or do you just let it for that day?
I try, obviously, keep it professional at work, but music is my lifeline. I love listening to music. I have a very fond relationship with my Spotify and my home speaker system. And then I also know how to trigger myself if I'm feeling like, there's one more thing waiting to just poke the bear, and then it might make me upset or explode. I know that there are certain movies that I can pop on and I will immediately cry, and I will have that catharsis that you just need from a good old-fashioned cry. And then that just helps me sort of expunge whatever emotional things I'm going through, whether it's just stress or, concern about family and friends over around the world who might have been struggling over the past couple of years with COVID. So that, and also wine. Wine is a classic.
Love it. Wine, music and movies. I love that, because I love the fact that you actually recognise that is building up in you, and to play a movie, and it doesn't affect anybody else, but you're not lashing out at anybody else. So I think that's really important, to be able to recognise that. I really love that. So can you tell us what your go-to real movie? Not a Julia
No, happy to share. It changes over the years, because there'll be times where I've just watched this movie way too many times and it kind of loses its impact. But any of the Hunger Games movies will just get me. And then the original Little Women, the one that had Winona Ryder in it, when Beth dies, and that's obviously a spoiler, but I feel like everybody would know this, but when Beth dies, oh my goodness, Claire Danes, it's awful.
Fantastic. So, and favourite wine choice?
I'm a Chardonnay drinker, and that's one of the most amazing things about living here in Perth is ease of access to the Margaret River region. So I have several hundred bottles of wine in my wine rack / cellar, and a good, robust, buttery Chardonnay is just...
Call me. That's mine too. And don't forget the Great Southern wines as well. Just go a little bit further. Yeah, fantastic.
Or a French champagne, Louise, let's be honest.
Actually, Australia's making some very, very good champagnes too these days. So Nadia, it's been wonderful to speak to you about empowerment, but I also want to speak to you about your relationship with shoes. So what's your relationship with shoes?
I love a good shoe. I have large feet, one of those many things that I was bullied for in my youth. And I always used to choose to wear heels over flats because the angle of your foot makes it look smaller if it's up higher. Or at least that's certainly something that I've deluded myself into thinking over the years. And I am a big believer of comfort shouldn't win over style. And working in a mega venue like a stadium, whether it was here or back in Melbourne, I always used to pound the pavement in a good pair of heels, or even a bad pair of heels, because I wanted to complete the look rather than, you don't want to look like, one of those women who wears the suits and then the sneakers and then they're running around, or you don't want to look like, Steve Jobs and wear jeans and sneakers all the time just to be comfortable. If I'm representing a brand, a business, and I also have my own personal brand, which is generally bright and colorful and, big jewelry, big bling, that type of thing, you have to complete the look with a good pair of shoes. So I have an entire walk-in robe dedicated to shoes, to my heels at least. There's a separate one for flats. And I do love a good heel because I know it's old fashioned and it's very almost sexist, but it does make a woman's legs look a lot better. I think it carries off the outfit. It's a really good way to complete a look. So I love a shoe. I love a heel.
Yes, well, Louise M intends to empower women. So, yeah, I understand completely a good shoe, but yeah, mine also had that comfort level for you.
Yeah.
So, Nadia, thank you so much for sharing your story today. As I said, you're so lovely, and I'm just so grateful to have met you along my business journey. So, all the very best. Enjoy some wine. We will have to catch up for a shardy.
Sounds good.
And yeah, I just loved what you've shared today. Again, it's different from what others have shared about their empowerment journey. So I'm just loving speaking to all women from all different industries, and you being in the event industry, that's new to me too. So thank you so much. Oh, and I intend to go out to the Optus Stadium new walk. Oh my gosh, that looks very scary.
Yes. We'll have to get you up on the roof. You can't wear high heels up there, I'll tell you that much.
No, I don't think I'd want to. My feet would firmly on the ground.
Yeah.
So thanks, Nadia. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Lovely to chat to you.
See you.